Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the Chancellor Hour. I'm super excited to kick off this episode today with John Chenoweth, our Chancellor, Blane Huppert, who is the University Business Collaborative Center Director, and then Marta Dezentje, who is a student with us here at UW River Falls. We want to go around and introduce ourselves, starting off with John.
This is John Chenoweth. I am the Chancellor here at UW River Falls.
I'm Marta Dezentje, and I'm a freshman here at River Falls.
Thanks. I'm Blane Huppert. I am the director at the University Business Collaboration Center.
Perfect. Well, like I said, I'm super excited for y'all to be on this episode today with us. Next week, we are going to be doing the grand opening of SciTech, which is a super awesome event that we have going on. It's a great building. So I kind of want to start off with going back to Marta. I know you said you're a freshman with us. You want to tell us a little bit more about yourself? You know, what year are you here? What are some of your hobbies? What do you like to do around campus?
Oh my gosh, this is so great. I am a freshman here. I really enjoy playing my instruments. I play the drums and also the bass guitar. I was in the jazz band here last semester as well, but I had to quit because I did get involved a lot in my department here. I'm a neuroscience major, so I've been doing a lot of work in the neuroscience lab, so I just needed to dedicate more time to that, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah. Did you want to kind of talk to us about some of the awesome things that you've been able to do so far?
Absolutely. So for me, at least, I was approached by my neuroscience professor at the end of last semester, and he invited me to work with him with research. So I've been very excited to test out all my new resources here in SciTech and use everything that we have access to, which for me would be a bunch of new lab equipment. We've had to, let's see here, we've had to slice some brains using some microscopic technology, which has been fun. We have to stain the brains, and we have like a bunch of like chemicals and like resources for that, as well as like our biggest thing, or else like the thing that I focus the most on, which is like 3D rendering neurons. So we have this really powerful microscope, which is brand new, with a camera attached to it, and we trace them in 3D, which is really fun.
That is so cool. That's like, and I think that's awesome that as like a freshman, you're kind of able to partake in those opportunities. I feel like a lot of people, when they think about coming to college, are like, you know, I got to take all of these, you know, like prerequisite courses and all my generals and stuff. But that's really cool that you've had those, you know, opportunities and experiences. So you would say you spend a lot of time in SciTech?
Absolutely. Actually, I've had two of my professors walk up to me and ask if I even live on campus, because I spend so much time in there that they think I don't know, commute and just hang out there all the time. But I do live on campus. I just spend a lot of time in SciTech.
I like that. So top study spot, what would you say?
Oh my gosh. Well, if we're using study in quotation marks, I love hanging around in the different lounges for like the different apartments. Each wing of SciTech on each floor has a different department lounge. I spend the most time in the psychology lounge, but studying there is like, I'm chatting with everyone. But there's some like spots, there's some really good natural light in SciTech, and so there's some spots at the top of the stairs where there's big windows and you can like really lock in with like the sun on you. It's very nice.
Absolutely. You know, us at university marketing and communications, we always say we want to, you know, take a day and just work at SciTech, really get immersed in the space and just soak in all of that, you know, that natural light, and it's beautiful in there. And some of the art in there I think is really cool too. We recently did a walking tour, and just seeing all the stuff around that, it's creative, and it's just such a cool space. So and then I know you mentioned some of your professors that you've been able to connect with. Are there any that have been the most influential in your time here so far?
Absolutely. I'd say my neuroscience professor, Dr. E, he is super amazing. He's like, he has such a wide range of knowledge on anything neuroscience, to where kids would ask questions in his class and he would just know the answer and explain it in a way that was so easy for all of us to understand. And it, without like making them feel dumb or anything, it was truly amazing to be in his neuroscience class. And it was like, it was just great. And he's very supportive and very funny as well. So
That's awesome. And then I guess kind of working with that, maybe I know all of us are kind of a little bit newer here to River Falls, but just some ways that SciTech and, going into UBCC, how has that helped to improve student experiences, or specifically STEM experience in comparison to kind of what we had before?
I feel like I don't have much to say on this because I was only able to spend only a semester in what we had before. So I would definitely pass it on over to Blane here.
Well, the UBCC is new. Again, the University Business Collaboration Center, and with that, my role is new as director of the UBCC. And what we're really trying to do in that UBCC space is to be a front door, really the welcome mat for the business community in the St. Croix Valley region. Hoping, not just hoping, but planning and working with businesses to come in and collaborate on different projects. And so this can be, whether it be a marketing project on campus, or whether it be one of the hard sciences, our chemistry, our biology, physics, or psychology, which are the 4 departments that are housed within the SciTech building. Projects from the community where students and businesses can work together. And I'm trying to build those partnerships, those collaborations to allow that to happen. So the UBCC space on campus, which includes a makerspace and includes a wet lab, as well as other opportunities to come together. We're really putting that forward to the business community and the students so everyone can work together.
How is this different than what you experienced quite a while ago here, or even just as you've watched River Falls for the past few years? So maybe you could share a bit of your background as you talk about that.
Sure. I grew up in River Falls, graduated River Falls High School as well as UW River Falls, actually in the journalism program right here, working at WRFW, and then went away and spent about 25 years in industry. Before coming back for this opportunity. Some other things in there as well, but I'm really excited to be back. And a lot has changed. It seemed like when I was in school, there was more of I won't say a wall around campus, but it was definitely clear when you're on campus and when you're off campus. And as they said, town and gown, there was a partition there. Now it seems like it's far more open. And being involved with the city government, more the university and the city seem to be working together. The business community seems to be embracing the university, and the university is embracing the business community as well. We understand that the economic development of the entire region is really necessary for the success for everyone, and it's really exciting to see that, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
That's awesome. One thing I'd like to highlight is with like the makerspace and all these other resources, it helps SciTech not just be something specifically for STEM students. It kind of opens it up to any student on campus. I'm not a STEM major. I not only see the allure of how beautiful SciTech is, but I think it's great that there are resources that everyone can kind of partake in. And like you said, kind of opening up, we're not just in our little sections anymore. You have to stay, with your major, with your building. And then kind of with that, I know we have starting up the Innovator Speaker Series. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We are into our third speaker. We'll be presenting to the community on the 8th. We have looked in the community for some of our more innovative business practices that are going on. Jeff Cernahouse with Nagase was first. He's done a wonderful work in areas of chemistry and 3D printing. And so that was a great kickoff for us. Brooke Lee is CEO of Anchor Paper, a manufacturer who's here, who's a century-old company in St. Paul, but are now manufacturing in St. Paul, and they have weathered a number of business realities as they're in the paper business, and have really taken a different business model approach, unique practices going forward. And so she was able to tell the story of how she was able to succeed in this environment. And then Kevin Westhouse from the city of River Falls is going to come in and talk to us next week about some really innovative practices that the utilities are doing, particularly around the wastewater area. And I know you're saying, oh, I don't want to hear about that. No, really, this is exciting stuff. It's ways that have really set the community of River Falls apart, very forward thinking, taking advantage of areas that we haven't looked at in the past.
I was able to attend the first 2 sessions, actually, and it was interesting to see in the audience there was a mix of students from the sciences, from the business majors. I forget if there were a couple others in there, but then there were also some faculty and staff in the room, and then also some innovators out in the community. Is that the intended goal, is to get sort of all 3 audiences in the room together, or how do you prep the speaker to come in, and then how do you share news about it?
No, that's exactly right. We're trying to open the doors and make it open to everyone. So we are publicizing it within the city as well as on campus. It's exciting when we can have people interact who don't necessarily see themselves together listening to the same thing, and then we get the reaction. And the members of the audience, when there's the Q&A section, are able to really ladder questions off each other. And it's neat to see the conversation afterwards, as we always have a reception following with the opportunity for people to talk. And that's, I think, where some of the greatest innovation happens, as people are bringing their own experiences, sharing it both with the students, with the community, and the faculty, all coming together.
That's wonderful. And, I think those opportunities also lead to things that students seek, like internships and looking for jobs in the future. And, as a student, there's never a shortage of that. So I think that's a really cool opportunity. Let's say I was a business. What are some ways that I can get in touch with UBCC to possibly have a speaker come and help educate all these people?
Well, we're always available at UBCC at uwrf.edu. Okay, that's an email easy to remember because we are the UBCC and we are at UWRF and it is a EDU. Okay, so it's all right there together, but that's a great way to get a hold of me. Or you can just come on into SciTech. I'm right there on the first floor, and I was interested in talking with businesses, getting engaged. I'm also out in the community, working with the Chamber of Commerce, working with the economic development organizations, not only in River Falls, but in communities up and down the St. Croix Valley, on both sides of the river. We're excited to have people get engaged and realize that UWRF really is their hometown university.
Could you talk a little bit about so the intent really is to generate some project ideas, right? That a business is interested in solving, working on, partnering with faculty and staff in the discipline, and then to get students involved. Could you? I don't know if you have a current project that you're working on. If you could just conceptualize an example of how this might really work.
Sure. We've got a couple of different projects that are in place. Nothing's signed on the dotted line yet. Well, actually, in a couple of small cases, we've got some projects that are in the works. But it's everything from a large food product project where we're working with our biology department, chemistry department, food sciences department, all working together on a project, and then working with a food manufacturer, testing some of the results or testing how their product impacts. And so it's actually students being able to use the theory on a real life project. And we're working in that sort of a situation. There's a new biodigester just south of River Falls. And so I'm working with the company that owns that to see if we can get some projects going together. Again, working across disciplines with different departments to get the greatest opportunity for a great number of students. We're also working with small founders, people who have just started their companies and who may have reached a plateau or hit a point where they've got a great idea, but they can't quite get the last pieces to work. So we've been contacted and we're having conversations about how can I get this food product exactly ready for market? How can I get the chemistry right so that I can make it shelf stable to last? In another case, how can I get this product? Can you test it and make sure that the claims that I'm saying are actually true? Are you willing to do and work with us? So we're excited. We've got some of those projects working in classrooms as senior design projects and things like that.
That's awesome. And it's cool to hear that that's being integrated into courses. Where can students find information about who some of the upcoming speakers are?
We've got them up on the boards around campus, on the monitors around campus, both in SciTech, but I've seen them elsewhere on campus as well. We're always let the business school certainly know, as well as in SciTech. And then if a speaker is in a specific area, I reach out to the professors there to let them know, to let the students know in class as well.
Awesome. I guess kind of going out to everybody. So we have some student submitted questions that are anonymous. Anyone that wants anything, addressed on the show. And this one, it's not necessarily specifically just a SciTech, but I think this is a good group of people that could kind of talk about it. So what is one thing that you would recommend for an incoming student that maybe doesn't quite know what they're doing yet, or how to prepare before coming to River Falls? Maybe what are some opportunities or things that they could get involved here to learn more about what they're interested in? Just what are some recommendations you'd have to incoming students?
Okay, well, I'll answer first. I feel like this was me. Like, I really just started here. So for me personally, what really helped me was, first of all, before getting here, looking at the list of clubs they offer on campus and seeing which ones that I would feel like joining, or look for posters about in the UC, all around campus. Definitely the goal is when you get here, you have to put yourself out there as much as possible, because you're going to start building relationships right away. So I'd say definitely get involved, like talk to people. I would also, for those who are rooming on campus, please meet your roommate before you before you get here. I love my roommate personally, but I have met people who have not. So do that.
I think that's some good advice. And I do just wonder, was SciTech part of the reason why you chose River Falls, or were there maybe other reasons why you chose to come here?
Actually, no. So if I'm being very honest, part of the reason why, a lot of the reason why I got here was because it was so cheap and that I could do that. But another one of the biggest reasons that I've thought about while attending here is just the one-on-one with all the professors, all the opportunities that I got. If I had gone to Madison, if I had gone to any other big college, I would not have had the opportunities that I have had now as a freshman. So I don't even think I would have even set foot in a neuro lab or anything like that if I had gone anywhere else. So
Maybe you mentioned this earlier, but where are you from, and when did you decide River Falls?
I'm from Minnetonka, Minnesota, and I decided River Falls actually quite late in the game. I was really dead set on Madison. I really wanted to go there, and then they deferred me, and then I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I should just go to River Falls. I had heard a yes from you guys so fast. I was like, these are people who actually want me there. So I think, I don't remember when I accepted, but I remember I was one of the first in my grade to make the decision. So
yeah, and I mean, I'd have to agree with you. Part of the reason I also chose River Falls was because of the cost. But wagering, you have the cost with the one-on-ones, which is something I've also really experienced, and just these great resources. I mean, even being able to, I currently have an internship and, have the Chancellor Hour and be able to connect with all these people and have these, real world experiences has been just such a great opportunity here that, you might not experience at other universities. So yeah, no, I 100% agree. Blane, is there anything with SciTech or UBCC that you would say could stand out to, prospective students?
Well, I think it is just what Marta mentioned, that it's the ability to get engaged on day one. My own personal experience, I went through 7 majors freshman year, so don't feel obligated to know exactly what you want to do when you come in. Just Figure out something, go in a direction. If it's not right, there are enough opportunities here to work your way around and get to the right thing. But do take advantage of the opportunities in the majors once you get here. As was said, you've got the opportunity to get on the radio station as a freshman. You're not going to find that everywhere. You've got the opportunity to actually be engaged in lab work as a freshman. You're not going to find that everywhere. And it's really every major on campus integrates the freshman as quickly as possible. You can find out if it works for you or not. And then there's encouragement to take advantage of internships even very early. And the Career Services Office does a phenomenal job of getting the internships out there, getting the employers onto campus to work with. And definitely, for everyone, take advantage of the career fairs that are on campus. Those companies are coming in and they are looking for you. They're looking for you when they're here, and it's the opportunity to meet them, engage, and get set to get into the workforce.
Yeah, and I think it's great that, not only we have so many businesses coming here, but there are also so many opportunities at UW River Falls to get internships, to have, on-campus jobs that, not only help you with the cost of college, but also just getting that experience. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think, to speak specifically to the question, I think I like your idea of, looking at the list of clubs that are available. And, I think finding something that when you get here that you'd be comfortable going to, right? Because that's a big step to go to something. But so, it's important to get out of your comfort zone. But I think one easy way to do that is to get in your comfort zone, right? Find a club that even if you don't want to join the club, but it's on a topic that you're already excited about, right? Or if you're a sports nut, get to as many sporting events as you can, because something's going to happen while you're there, right? And that might be pride in the institution. It might be meeting your new best friends, whatever that is. And then I think that just, if you go to a club meeting that you are already comfortable with, well, then going to the one that you're not comfortable with is a whole lot easier, right? And, most students aren't necessarily, they might have been involved in an academic club in high school, but there aren't as many in high school, right? So like an ag student might have been involved in FFA. Well, if you're a business major and you didn't have a DECA program, if you're a journalism major and there wasn't you don't have any idea what those academic programs are like. But if you're a pickleball player, then you show up to pickleball club and you realize how easy that is, and then it makes it easier to go to the journalism club or whatever other clubs that might be of different interest to you. And then I think the roommate thing is great, and I think that's the other opportunity, right? Because you're going to meet someone who has other different interests than you. And it's a lot easier to go to something when you're with someone, right? And so they may be interested in a topic that you have no interest in, but it's a whole lot easier to go to that club meeting or that student org meeting with someone who is excited about it and can bring you along, right? And vice versa. So I think there's just lots of opportunities to get into spaces that you are comfortable with, and then also in the spaces that you're less comfortable in. Because I think that one-on-one experience is actually a little scary for students a lot, right? So we have lots of opportunities for students to engage in undergraduate research or study abroad, things that they're kind of doing on their own. Well, they might not have done it on their own in high school or wherever else they were. And so I think just getting around other people that are doing an undergraduate research project, it might not be the same area you're going to do one in, but connecting with someone who's done that and realize kind of how sort of easy it is actually to walk up to a faculty member and ask, right? Are you doing any research? Is there something I could be involved in? And, not everyone is at all the time, but it's pretty easy to ask that question once you realize that, we got 150, 250 other students that are doing that today, right? And so to me, that's pretty exciting. I was going to explain, you sit right in the core of SciTech. What do you hear as students walk? You must see lots of students walking through the building, and particularly when it first opened up as they walked into the building for the first time, and faculty and staff as well. What do you hear as you're down there right in the middle of the building?
Well, the question was asked earlier about the study spaces. And I believe, when we were taking tours of it before it opened, and, I wondered, oh, come on, is anyone really going to find this back corner? And the answer is yes. I think it took about 24 hours before every seat was full. The study desks are in far off corners, different style of seating all around. So people are finding that to study on their own. The conversations are happening, as you said, right outside my office. There's a seating area, and students are talking equal parts about academics, equal parts about social, everything else, the women's hockey team, the football team, everything else that's happening on campus. The lounges in the departments, I think, are the hotbed of what's going on. The majors are the students who are in those majors finally have a place that's their own. I know some of the departments have set up where one day a week all the faculty are in with the students for an official lunch, but it seems like every day there are students and faculty eating together in those areas. But there's a buzz. People are excited about it, and everyone is excited when they see the robotic floor cleaner going by. Sometimes it's the little things.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the first time we kind of unofficially met was when we were doing the robot naming contest in SciTech. And that's also just fun, cool little things when there's a new project on campus that, we get to be part of that, kind of making our mark, even if it's as simple as, we're naming the robots that clean the floors, but it's like students get to get involved in something that's going to last, years and years down the line. Say, yeah, I voted for that floorbot name, that I submitted that floorbot name. So yeah, absolutely. It's always just cool to be part of something that, is groundbreaking or is new or will, like I said, you can go back and say, I helped make that. I helped do that. So absolutely. Well,
I got another question for Marta. You mentioned you played the drums. I played the drums a long time ago. What else do you do? We know you're a neuroscience major, but what else do you get involved in on campus?
Well, I actually did want to add this when you were talking earlier about just like joining random clubs. I've got a friend who I met in my building just by knocking on doors. We constantly just show up to random club events, and we frequent the glass blowing club just to get a bunch of those little glass trinkets. And they're very personalized as well. They let you pick the colors. It's super fun. Recently we joined the Bee Club. They were making candles, and we're like, we'll take some candles. I'm trying to see what else. I definitely know that the psychology department has had a few events as well. It's mainly 4 majors, but I would just drag her along because she's a non-major. She's an art education major, and so we actually spend a lot of time in SciTech, and that's the only time she ever gets to go there. I don't know if this is going to get us in trouble or not, but we do spend late nights playing Minecraft on the SciTech TVs. We hook up to the Psych Lounge TV, and we play Minecraft, which is really fun. And it really is just finding your group of friends. So we have a group of friends who are all on our dorm floor, and so we're all doing shenanigans all the time, doing random things and meeting random people all the time.
Great. And you're a local, Blane. You lived in River Falls. Did you live in River Falls your whole life? You went away, you came back. Why? So you're back here. Why did you come back to River Falls?
Well, it's a great community. It's a great place to be. This has always been home. As I was in Florida, I was in Washington, D.C., been in the Twin Cities now for 30 years, but this is still home. And I guess as the cities grow, River Falls is in the Twin Cities, at least in the metro area. But it's still a sense of community. I think that the downtown area still feels a lot like it always has. The bypass has kept a lot of the growth on the outsides, and Main Street is still an old school Main Street, as opposed to where I live now, which is Woodbury, where there isn't a Main Street. There never was. They've tried to create a couple of Main Streets. It doesn't work. But River Falls has that sense of authenticity. And I think that again, is something that the university and the Main Street have in common. That authenticity holds true, and you can move seamlessly from one to the other, and they rely upon each other.
Great, thanks. And I always like to ask Kylie a question. So you're involved in the SciTech Open. What are you doing around SciTech?
Little things here and there. I mean, we have a grand opening next week, which Actually, I have a meeting coming up where we're figuring out specifically what we're doing on the social media side of things. But, definitely just kind of spreading the word. I know that there's kind of like a self-paced walking tour that we're going to be doing. So fun things like that. Like I said, was able to do the robot naming, which was really fun. Honestly, I just try to sneak in there when I can. Like I said, I'm not a STEM major. I have no classes in SciTech, even though I really wish I did. But I like to just walk through there sometimes. And like I said, just see all the natural light. I love North Hall so much. It is so different than SciTech, though. Sometimes it can kind of feel like a box, with no windows and, they're just different, and I like that change of scenery. So I like going in there when I can. And, with my internship, I get the opportunity to kind of be in a lot of different spaces that I wouldn't normally be in. We have the Frozen 4 this weekend, so I'm going to be at the Falcons Center all weekend, which is going to be super fun, getting content there. So I don't know, I like to try to get familiar with the spaces, meet people, even, kind of just get a sense of the place so that we can, put something on social media or, come up with ideas for projects, just little things here and there, I guess. Great. So, yeah.
And so, Chancellor Chenoweth, back to you. Same type of a question. You've been at universities all over the state.
Yep.
You've been involved. You've seen a lot of different building projects happen. What are your thoughts on SciTech?
Yeah, I mean, it's fabulous. I was part of a large building project at Whitewater when I was there, the business school building, and I actually saw, because I was up here for a Board of Regents meeting, so I saw when the fence was up at first. I believe there was just a big giant hole in the ground. They'd already torn down the other buildings that were there, and then so just getting to watch it get built, and then fortunate enough to get a few sneak peeks into the building as it was getting wrapped up over the summer and in the fall. It's just a great space to be. I mean, really impressed with the design work that was done to create the spaces, especially around the departments. Where there's spaces where faculty and students and staff can commingle and generate ideas and play Minecraft or whatever they're doing. I won't tell anyone you're up to that. But although Minecraft spurs innovation and creativity, right? So yeah, okay, good. So just a great space. And I really like the science on display aspect of it, right? Where there's lots of windows, and then I just know the amount of new technology that we've been able to. So it's not just the physical building. Physical buildings are great. Obviously, it's the people in them. But for this project, we were fortunate enough to be able to have multiple rounds of requests for new replacement equipment. And so I just know the kinds of technology that now our students have access to. That's really exciting. And so, it's exciting to have exciting to get into the building, when students first came in it, and now we're going to have this ribbon cutting and open house, which will be great. But then, we're going to hear stories about what's going on in SciTech for years to come based on the undergraduate research students are doing and all sorts of other activities. So really looking forward to what's next, right? It's great to have a building, but then it's, we built it for a purpose, so let's get after it.
So we had the renovations to the Falcons Center a few years ago, and then we started seeing national championships. Yes. What are your visions for what we'll see, 3, 5, 10 years from now?
Well, it is exciting. I am a sports nut. I get to every single Falcon game that I can get to, so all the home games and a few away games as well. So I think there is great. I think you can use that as an example, right? So we built the Falcon Center. Really put us on the map in terms of students wanting to be here, that our student athletes wanting to be here at a place that had that sort of a space. And we know our students who aren't athletes that get to tour through the Falcon Center, they are more likely to attend River Falls than if they don't tour through the Falcon Center. And the same thing is true of SciTech. The very first event we had in SciTech was an event for high school students. So before our own students were able to get in on Monday, we had an event that weekend, and we had high school students from all over. And I just know that when they get into those spaces like that, they get really excited. And so I do think we'll see an impact on enrollment. We'll see an impact on the interest of our students that are coming and the kinds of things that they want to do right off the bat.
Absolutely. And you all are currently tuned into 88.7 FM WRFW River Falls, the pulse of the campus community. But I can also talk to you that, we have so many great students here and great people here, but having all these great facilities and updated technology makes it so much easier for us to excel. We don't have to try to jump over these, jump through hoops and go through all these roadblocks of, just our technology's not being the best or not working. And so I think it just helps our students excel even more because, they have access to these great things. So absolutely. Super excited to see how, the future grows with it. So.
Yeah, I think, to me also that's about, I'm always future focused. So, right. So not the building's done. Yes, there's more exciting things we're going to do in there, but what's next, right? And so, we have some athletic related projects. Our students approved a project to renovate the stadium, new turf down. Our track and field team hasn't been able to have a home event on their own track and field because of the conditions, and our students, see that, and they've seen what the Falcons Center has done, and they've seen what SciTech does, and they voted to add a small increase on their fees so they could get that taken care of, and they've been in our bleachers and they know how bouncy those are, so we're getting the bleachers replaced, but then we're all after Ag Sci, so that's the next building project, and we are working every day to get that one across the finish line. These are long projects. They take 5, 10, 15 years to get to completion, but we know there's additional work to do that in other areas of campus, and of course now Centennial's vacant because we moved sciences out of there, so there's a project to get done there. So we're always looking at what's next and what do our current students need, and of course these are projects. SciTech's a building it's got to last for 100 years, right? And so as we build them, we think about what do we need to have for our students to have access to. It's all about, well, it's these students. It's the students that are in high school today. It's the students that are in kindergarten today, and it's the next generation after those kindergartners, right? And so thinking really hard because you have to. These projects cost a lot of money. They cost the state a lot of money. It's our tax dollars that build these buildings, and so we have to be really good stewards of those funds as they come in and make sure we're building buildings that are going to last and serve the region really well. So.
Yeah, and I think also seeing all of these new things and renovations as a student helps give me confidence in my university. And it's going to sound cheesy, but it makes me proud to be a Falcon, it's something where, in however many years I can, tell my kids, hey, this is an option for you. I went there when I was, your age and I was able to do all these things, but now look how much it's grown. And I feel like can sometimes be a lot of competition between universities, but it just shows how much commitment there is to just really helping students and helping our learning and just us getting better opportunities post-grad too, with the UBCC and finding internships and businesses. And, it's all just trying to help students better their futures, which, that gives me confidence.
Well, I appreciate you talked about careers. So, Marta, do you have a long-term goal yet? Are you still trying to figure out what you're up to, or you got many years here, 2 or 3 years more maybe, but then what?
Well, I have been planning this for so long. I am hoping to go to grad school for sure, try and get a PhD in neuroscience research. Hopefully a little emphasis on biology and evolution. That's kind of what I want to go into. So evolutionary neuroscience is definitely the path for me.
Very cool. Thanks. Well, we want to thank you all for listening to this installment of the Chancellor Hour. You can tune in live on the 4th Tuesday of every month at 3 p.m. at WRFW887.com under the Listen Live tab. A full-length recording of each episode will be available the following Thursday on our YouTube channel at UW River Falls. If you have any questions or you would like to submit topics for discussion, please visit uwrf.edu under the Chancellor Hour and fill out our anonymous form. This has been John Chenoweth with the Chancellor Hour. Have a great rest of your evening, and we will see you next episode.